system. And what's inspired me about the material of felt is its three-dimensional quality, the fact that it's thick and it can actually be cut all the way through and you can see the material as a whole. So what I'm fascinated by with this material is being able to create three-dimensional structure with it. And with this, it's essentially a modular system, so it's a scalable concept based on a single cell. And using geometry and in my work is very much, it's a level of getting back to the purity of science and a purity of geometry, but yet allowing that to be manifest in an organic material like felt, which is the world's oldest textile. So I love that idea of mixing both high technology and geometry and structure with a very old, organic, and natural material. Similarly, this product here is a vase. It's basically woven out of, again, the same material. It's all felt. And this one's a water jet cut piece. And it's essentially, again, trying to create structure and three-dimensionality with a two-dimensional material. So using the felt and its structural capabilities of being able to be woven and folded and creating a three-dimensional form from that. So that's the whole essence of what I'm trying to do with this first collection.
Hi, we're here with Aurelie too from Crafted Systems. She's going to be showing her work at Northwest Modern, and we'd like to ask you some questions if that's okay.
Sure, be happy.
What do you think are some of the things that define regional sensibility in art and design?
Well, that's an interesting question, and there's probably several different ways you could answer that, but I guess from my perspective, I'd probably say there's probably three things that I think really influence a region's output in terms of creativity. And that would be, one, a sense of values of the community and the values of the place. So I'd say here in the Northwest, it's really, we tend to be very civically minded. Definitely it's more of a culture of we, a collective mentality of we rather than a cult of the individual of me. And then, of course, as we all know, Portland in the Northwest is very much known for its leadership in terms of sustainability and being stewards of the environment and really leading in terms of sustainable practices, architecture, etc. So, it's all about this sort of, collective mentality of what do we value as a community, and that pervades down to the individual level of, what are you doing? What kind of responsible role are you taking as an individual? And that comes out in our art. So our art is very much a reflection of sort of how we respond to our environment. Secondly, I would say it's also about the environment, whether it's the built environment or the natural environment. And here in the Northwest, it's very much about the natural environment. We're surrounded by this gorgeous greenery, this lush foliage, year-round, trees and leaves, and it's very much influential and inspirational in terms of creative output. So, and that can manifest itself in very specific ways, also in terms of material choices. A lot of people work with wood, also in terms of color and in terms of even processes. Again, it's hardly surprising that we're stewards of the environment here, really protective of the environment because we're surrounded by such gorgeous natural landscape. And then thirdly, I would say it's, of course, what's the spirit of a culture for a region. It would be the spirit of people. The people themselves, and the people are very much about, there's this optimistic and sort of very creative levels of activity here, both on sort of professional levels of design and art, but then also on very, sort of underground currents like DIY. There's a huge DIY, sort of energy about Portland and about the Northwest is very much about, if it doesn't exist, well, why not create it? Let's just make it ourselves. Let's just kind of, let's put something out there. And I think a lot of that has to do with the sense of possibly the weather. There's something about the Northwest. It's that, it gets gray for, half of the year, and it's dark and rainy and wet. So I think there's a part of that that breeds this level of introspection and sort of a level of creativity and sort of holding up and, doing your craft. I think that's part of it. And then also, of course, the levels of professionalism in terms of design is really huge in the city. So, there's a large population of designers in Portland, which also contributes to that whole cultural output of amazing creativity. So I'd say it's really those three things. One would be the values of the community. The second would be the environment, the natural environment around us. And then thirdly, the spirit of the people.
Do you think your work has been influenced by those ideas?
Definitely so, yeah. Well, my work with crafted systems, for instance, is very much influenced by that, from the sense of, if an infrastructure doesn't exist, let's go ahead and create it. So, for instance, with this work, I was really looking to partner with a community which was in need, and very much was looking outside this regional area, and I was looking to indigenous cultures, but in reality I ended up twisting that whole concept and bringing it back home to introduce craft in a way into our society which would help homeless women. So helping this community here makes me feel like I'm contributing to this environment directly, and making a positive impact in terms of helping people not only economically but also creatively. I mean, there's sort of this idea of women weaving product is very much a healing process, and so it helps them, collectively and economically, and helps empower them, and then helps them in terms of, gee, I created something, and they feel really proud of that, and I like that, and I really believe that, I'm at least, doing a little bit, and whatever I can do, maybe it makes an impact in their lives. So yeah, so I'd say it definitely has influenced my work.
Great. Well, we look forward to seeing your work at Northwest Modern. Thanks so much for sharing your thoughts and ideas with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.